Hello, Divine Being, and welcome to this video in the series on how hypnosis helps you to achieve the changes that you desire. So, I'd like to discuss in this video a little bit about the power of your mind. Now, the thing is that the power of the mind, of your mind, of our minds, is something so incredible. There's just so much capacity, so much potential and possibilities within mind and the power of mind that really whole systems, huge bodies of knowledge have been built around this throughout the history of humanity. If you consider esoteric schools of thought of psychology, such as like Tibetan Buddhism or the yogas out of India or mystic practices of other types from Europe or Egypt, all these kinds of things, there are whole huge systems of the power of the mind. So it's just such a vast subject. But to just dive into it a little bit today, even as far as like neuroscience is concerned, there is a particular part of the brain which is responsible for movie making, little short movies, which are running all the time, whether we are consciously aware of that in our conscious thinking, or if it's more of a subconscious process where these movies are just kind of running. And the thing is that this is like the power of our imagination, that there's one level of thinking which is in words as thoughts, and then there is this other part of thinking, like this part in our brain that is making little short movies, running little short movies. And there is like our imagination, this imagery of the movies, of symbolism, of association of all this deep symbolism within our inner mind, our inner learnings, our unconscious and subconscious mind. So if you think of it, we could do a little experiment where just close your eyes for a moment and imagine that over in the corner at a distance there are some of your favorite fruits, some fruits that you particularly enjoy. And you can just notice the colors of the fruits over there and the shape, the texture, what it is you love about that fruit. And then I'd like you to imagine that now you have one of these fruits in your hands, and you can just notice in your hand from that level, this closeness, the colors, the textures of the fruits, what it is that you really enjoy about the fruit, and lets you know that this one you're holding is a particularly good fruit. And then you can imagine splitting it open and bringing it, this juicy fruit, this amazing fruit, to your mouth and taking a bite. And just notice the difference between those three images, those three levels of imagination in your mind of having the fruit close and taking a bite, what it was like in your hand and what it was like over there in the corner. And this is something that is, as you may have noticed, your mouth might have started watering. This is something that is producing real physiological effects in the body. So we could say that it's just pretend or just imagination, but actually, we could also say that this sort of movie making, this use of images in our mind, is another level of thought that's deeper and perhaps just that much more vast than the surface level thought in words. And what people think of even as logical thought, what we think of as reasonable or rational and logical, is also on the surface and on top of this sort of imagination, this level of images and movies and associations, symbols, these ideas in our mind of what it means to be rational or logical, or what's really possible at the level of reason, of rational thinking and logical thought. So part of then how hypnosis and NLP helps you to make the changes that you desire is that in the framework and context, we stimulate your imagination, your inner movie making ability, and you also can potentially become aware of certain images and associations and movie making that seem to have been getting you stuck into this challenge or this problem, this old way of behaving or thinking or feeling in certain contexts or situations. And with this right context and framework, you get the help to learn how to use more of this imaginative power in your mind and to see the real results that it can make. And this is also, again, like the tip of the iceberg of the mind power, because even as far as neuroscience is concerned, when they put sensors on somebody's brain and detect which neurons are firing, when you see something with your eyes open and when you close your eyes and imagine the fruit like we just did, those same neurons are firing in the brain, regardless of whether it's seen with the eyes open or seen in one's inner imagery, one's inner movies. So, in a way, it could be said that the brain doesn't necessarily know the difference between what we think we see outside and what is seen internally in this imagination or the inner imagery, the inner movie making. So at the level of, say, like these ancient mystical systems or something like this, like the Tibetan practitioners will do all these different visualizations and meditations where they imagine themselves becoming this adept yogi or these deities, these gods or goddesses, and having all the wisdom and all the knowledge and the shape, the form of these gods or goddesses, and then going around in the work and doing the compassion, going around in the world and doing the compassionate work of these deities. And based on what neuroscience has shown, certain neurons would be firing in our brain that make this a kind of reality that we experience. It has real world effects on our life when we do certain kinds of things like this. So it really does open up one to kind of contemplate and to consider, like, what are the limits of the possibilities that we can experience, like what really can be done with the mind. And also there is the, I don't want this video to get too long, but I still feel like potentially mentioning that with the placebo effect, that the placebo effect is one of the most documented things in all of medicine, because every new treatment must be tested against a control group, which includes the expected results of placebo effect, placebo healing. And so at a certain point, people actually started to study specifically the placebo effect. And so when they had a group of participants and they're given a placebo injection of morphine, just a saline solution, they were able to measure in the bodies that when the results expectancy effect or placebo effect kicked in, that their biochemistry, their body actually produced its own natural painkiller replica, so that it's shown that this sort of placebo effect wasn't just something in their mind, but that it was actually creating real measurable results in the physiology of the participants of the research. So this is just another bit of evidence that shows the power of our mind, of our thoughts, our thinking, our imagination, the movies that we run in our mind. And so that's part of how hypnosis and NLP also helps you to make the changes that you desire in your life, is through learning to harness this inner power, this inner movie making ability to manifest, to attract, to create those changes in a real and practical way. I hope that this was of some value to you, and feel free to click the like button if you did find some value in this video, and just to support the channel, that others may find this video as well. And also leave your comments down below, just what was your experience or what was your insight or aha moment from this video, or if you have any questions, if anything that I said didn't seem to make sense or just stimulated some new kind of question for you, feel free to put that question in the comment down below. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Or perhaps you would like to book one of the free 15-minute intros where we can meet face to face online, and that would be a wonderful chance to get to really see you and talk with you.